AARO's historical report is about to drop. In fact, by the time you watch this video, it might already have dropped. So what do we expect from it? Anything? We've got that and a lot more to talk about today. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, yeah, this is from Nick Pope. Volume 1 of AARO's Historical Record Report will be published imminently. It will be the most skeptical official U.S. government report on UFOs since 2 U.S. Air Force reports in the 90s. The Roswell Report, Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, and the Roswell Report, Case Closed, and will likely draw on these reports to some extent. Essentially, it will say we found no evidence that any of the claims about UFO crashes and retrievals are true, and the U.S. government has no evidence to suggest we've ever been visited by ETs. How will Congress, the media, the UFO community, and the public respond? Well, hopefully by riotous laughter. But yeah, I mean, you can expect nothing less from AARO. You know, it's hard to say how much Sean Kirkpatrick took part in that report, although I suspect that he had a heavy hand in compiling that report before he left. So, you know, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be a big nothing burger, and it'll be more, blue book kind of shenanigans where they will continue to suppress the UFO topic and deny. That's what they've been doing so far. You know, I really do think that AARO was started as a sincere effort. But somewhere around the midpoint of the U.A.P. task force, around when Jay Stratton left as the director of the U.A.P. task force, the control group stepped in and co-opted the task force, and AARO, of course, was the continuation of that. But while the gears were in motion to develop AARO, while it was still the U.A.P. task force, during that stage, before AARO was created, I believe that it was sincere. But as soon as it came into being, it had already been co-opted. So I don't expect anything less but blue book style suppression of information and the continuation of the cover-up. Let me know if you're more optimistic. Yeah, when the report drops, I'll cover it, and we can all have a good laugh. Meanwhile, someone found a really juicy nugget in the interview that Tucker Carlson did with David Grush, where it seems like Dave is talking about possibly preparing the public for some sort of imminent UFO event. You have to kind of listen closely, and I'm sorry for the poor quality, that the clip is not a very high resolution, but let's give a listen.
Account for the behavior you're describing.
Yeah, at first,
they're hiding something real that implicates them, and if they're talking to these entities, whatever they are, and I believe on the basis of evidence that the U.S. government has made contact and has had continuous, or at least sporadic, but over a period of years contact, you don't need to nod or shake your head, but that is my belief based on talking to people. Like, what is that?
Yeah, if there's certainly, a relationship that was cultivated with non-human intelligences, hypothetically, I guess, to play off of what you just said, good or bad, it's almost like we were afraid after 9/11. Dirty bombs, terrorists. Okay, well, that's nature. That's life. Yin and yang of the universe. If there's malevolent non-human intelligences, okay, well, that's a fact of life. Don't hide it. Because what if the U.S. populace needs to be prepared for something someday?
Well,
hypothetically.
And it's also not their...
What if the U.S. populace needs to be prepared for something, hypothetically? Yes, what do they need to be prepared for, David Grush? Is this what's coming in 2027? We've been hearing all about, 2027 is going to be a huge year. And it seems like there's going to be some sort of disclosure event, maybe even by the phenomenon. Chris Bledsoe is saying, hey, maybe that's when the lady is going to show up in Utah. I'm very, very excited about that. And if that is a thing that it might happen, I'm going to be there, if possible. So David Grush seems to be suggesting that indeed something is coming from the phenomenon. He doesn't give a date. He doesn't say 2027. but he does say the public may need to be prepared, and have some information about the phenomenon for this event. So that could be an impetus for what he is doing, and for a driver for getting this information out there, because he and like-minded people may think there is some sort of imminent event coming. Whoa, I totally missed that the first time I watched this interview. So kudos. Let me get the channel name, Child of Light. Hey, a great name, right? For identifying that little nugget, because that's actually a pretty big nugget. So let me know what you think, guys. Is David Grush preparing us for some imminent event? Well, I mean, who knows how imminent? It could be a few years down the line. But is that what Dave is saying? And do you think that is a motivation for him and the others for coming out with this information? In other news, bad news on the mummy. Again, another imminent event. Everything's imminent today. It's all imminent all the time, guys. That's how the UFO business is. Yeah, Lucy in the football, right? From Nazca Mummies, appears the unveiling of the new mummy will be postponed till later this week or so, based on Jose Mentilla's post. Whatever he's looking at must be fascinating. And there he is. Yeah, he's looking at some x-rays of the mummies. So there you go. We are going to get the drop this week or so. So do expect that to be unveiled at some point. I think maybe. Fingers crossed. Meanwhile, check out this hilarious segment. It's only a few seconds long, 5 seconds long or something, from Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh. When asked about UFOs, here's what she had to say. And this was on the 25th.
In terms of the U.A.P. report, I'm sorry, I just have to take that question.
And that's all she had to say. She took the question and she didn't do anything with it. Yeah. So, that sounds about right. Oh, and I just wanted to direct everybody to a cool video I watched by Armored Skeptic, where he goes over a list. There's the Armored Skeptic. He talks about a long list of obvious fakes that NASA has perpetrated, and seeming to fake, space missions and space footage. For what reason? Who knows? I mean, they've got stuff up there. I mean, I have no doubt they've actually been in space. So I don't know why they fake this stuff. And I've covered this stuff before. So this probably isn't new to you. You've probably seen it elsewhere as well. So I just want to, pose that question. Why are they faking that stuff? There's stuff where they are it's obvious green screens where they're pretending to be on the space station and stuff. And so what is going on with that? That is just so weird. The NASA fakes stuff like that. I mean, we know they suppress information. They've been scrubbing UFOs and airbrushing UFOs out of their footage forever. So it's clear that they are part of the cover-up. And according to the Uri Geller story, NASA actually has alien bodies. So they're not just part of the cover-up. They're actually part of the control group. So if they are faking footage, they're really, now that I, have come to believe Uri Geller's story about the alien body thing, in that the NASA is actually part of the control group and not just part of a cover-up, then that really throws their faking footage to me in a new light, because it seems to suggest that's part of some sort of plan, right? Some control group kind of operation, that they are doing stuff in space that they don't want us to know about. So they have to fake footage so that they can do whatever clandestine stuff they're actually doing while pretending to do mundane stuff that they fake. So what is NASA doing in space? I mean, you know, that's assuming that's what's going on. Obviously, a lot of ifs, a lot of supposition going on. But that is where my mind goes, and I'd be very curious to see what your thoughts are. So let me know in the comments below. Speaking of Uri Geller's incident, you know, that seems to have been with gray type entities, those bodies. Well, this is an interesting. It kind of looks like a gray, right? Is that a gray? Because there's some interesting information here posted by the Juan. This is from a case. Well, I'll just read it. Some more details on the alleged occupant morphology for the November 1989 alien starfighter fetus-shaped or fetus-headed reptilians. Bizarre is an understatement. The humanoids were packed in ice and sent to an isolation chamber at the University of Ottawa. CIA physiologists performed the autopsies. The reptilian fetus-headed beings were listed as Class 1 NTEs, non-terrestrial entities. Like others recovered in previous operations, they were muscular, gray-white skinned humanoids. The ship was partially reassembled at the underground facility in Canada. Unlike previous recoveries, this one is pure military. Info from the May 1994 MUFON Journal. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. I haven't fact-checked MUFON on that. But really interesting that it looks so much like a regular gray. Oh, why are there so many species that resemble grays but aren't actually grays as we all know and love or whatever them? You know, it's so interesting that, you know, people talk about parallel evolution and everything, but I'm really fascinated by why that shape. Is it because these are spacefaring beings and, the space aboard the ship is limited, so, you know, a small size is preferable, and so maybe they're all, you know, artificially grown or whatever, created beings, and so they all have a small size for that reason. You know, I don't know, because there are all the stories about people being taken aboard the ships, where the beings aboard those ships can reconfigure their ships however they want, and they can be a vast size inside, even though they don't look vast on the outside. So it doesn't seem like space is limited on these ships. So I'm just really curious what your take is on why so many beings appear to look like grays, even if they're not what, you know, we think of as grays, like these fetus-headed reptilians. Let me know what you think. Speaking of NASA and UFOs, do you remember the time when NASA had to wait for some UFOs to leave the airspace over the launch pad or the landing pad for a shuttle to land? That's right. UFOs were hanging out over this place, and they had to wait for them to leave so the airspace was safe.
Heat shield anyway. The surveys were initially sparked by a mysterious object floating under the spacecraft yesterday. It was detected shortly after a routine check of the shuttle's steering jets. Now, since Columbia, NASA developed several tools and procedures to safeguard the shuttle while in space. NASA admits they may never know exactly what the unknown objects are, but confirms the shuttle is ready to handle the 3,000-degree temperatures it will meet as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Over the years, we have chased many, many, many of these things, maybe not with the visibility that this one has gotten, and rarely, if ever, been able to pinpoint exactly where they came from, and always finding out that it didn't pose us any hazard.
Okay, yeah, whatever NASA, but there you go. More interesting, juicy UFO NASA goodness. Meanwhile, the tragic story of Amy Eskridge is making the rounds, and people are really talking about that the last few days on social media. There was a long video that was posted, an interview or a panel discussion, really mostly just her talking. I want to say it's a couple hours long. I haven't watched the full thing. And but yeah, I just wanted to point it out to you if you haven't seen it. You know, she, my understanding, again, I haven't watched the full video, it's pretty long, is that her dad had just done some work discovering anti-gravity technology, and she continued that research and was trying to get that out there. And then I believe she met what some people believe was a suspicious death. And, you know, I don't know if it was or not, you know, but, you know, it could have been. It could have been. For sure, people that experiment with anti-grav and free energy do seem to meet mysterious deaths. So out of respect to her and her work and her father's work, I did at least want to give her story a mention and direct you to it if you haven't seen it, and get your thoughts on it if you have seen her full video. Last but not least, a Mexican TV crew to film an autopsy on the three-fingered mummies to prove they're aliens. What? A team of independent experts are determined to prove on camera whether the infamous set of three-fingered Peruvian mummies are alien life forms for a new TV documentary. The truth about Peru's mummy aliens, previously dismissed as fakes, is set to be revealed on camera. A team of independent experts is preparing to prove whether the infamous three-fingered Peruvian mummies are alien life forms for a new TV documentary. Producer Serena DC has expressed her frustration that all previous investigations into these mysterious bodies have been conducted behind closed doors. She said it is now time for the world to know the truth. Unlike scientists in Peru who labeled the figures as dolls, Serena's team will film independent autopsies and medical scans related to these controversial beings. This comes after an independent study from Mexican officials claimed the ET figures were dolls made from human and animal parts. So there you go. Oh, and she's an Emmy-nominated documentarian too. She was given exclusive access to examine the bodies. They are going to do a independent autopsy on some of the Nazca mummies, or at least one of the Nazca mummies. So there you go. It's pretty exciting. I can't wait to see what they come up with. Let me know what you think they are going to come up with in the comments below, and let me know what you think about everything else covered today. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or you can become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.